Um, yeah, so welcome to the first episode of,
Second episode.
second episode. I'm still new to this.
Yeah, it's okay. Me
Welcome to
too.
the
Me
second
too.
episode of the Blurred Line podcast, where we talk about identity and diversity around the world.
Mm-hmm.
I have my good friend here, Frank.
Oh, do I say my Frank McMullin?
Yeah.
Do I say my name or do you?
Well, I was just gonna have you, just introduce yourself, just kind of,
Okay, a little Jiko Shokai.
just kind of talk about who you are real quick, and we'll.
All right. Well, my name is Frank McMullin. Frank Shintaro McMullin. I am half Japanese, half white. I am from the beautiful city of Cupertino, California. Most recently living in Santa Barbara, California, where I go to school. Currently living in sunny Adachi-ku in the north end of Tokyo. Um, Everyone should visit Adachi-ku. Beautiful, beautiful place. Yeah, I'm a history major, third year. I am young, 20 years old.
Okay.
And yeah, that's about it. I work
Yeah.
at the Embassy of Afghanistan,
Yeah.
if you may have heard.
Yeah, we actually work together at the Embassy of Afghanistan. We're
Yes,
both
sir.
interns there,
Yes, sir.
and we've just kind of been there. It's been like I've been there for a couple months. He's been there for
Like 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Yeah,
Maybe 3 weeks. 3 weeks more, yeah.
yeah, we've been good friends for a little bit. So.
Yeah, it's been a good time, Ramsey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, so you have your one parent is from the States and
Yes.
where in the States? So,
Right. So my dad is from a beautiful. That's a lie. He's from a corn farm in Iowa. It is.
that can be beautiful too.
Nah, they're not. Sorry to the Iowan fans, but Iowa's a terrible state. I would never go back in my life.
I'm sure they have their perks.
Yeah, it's homely. It's
Okay.
definitely homely.
Fair.
But I'm very much a city person.
Okay.
And so I was never really a fan.
Fair.
So yeah, my dad actually has a pretty interesting story in my opinion. If
Okay.
you don't mind.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, go.
He was a farm. He grew up on a corn farm, right? He went to Iowa State to study agricultural engineering because he was just gonna go to his
Be like
own
a
corn
professional
farm.
farmer?
Yeah, just like a professional corn farmer, which is
Okay.
like
It's a pretty big deal.
I don't know anything about farming. I don't know how much more professional you can get. Like I feel like if you're a farmer,
I'm
that's
sure
the
there's
end of
levels
it.
to it.
I'm sure there is. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not a farmer, but he went to Iowa State, studied there, and then my grandparents, actually, he was one of the two people in his city to go to college, and
Dang.
yeah, my grandparents
That's wild.
were the only people in their city to go to college, so they valued education a lot.
Okay.
But they said like,
Sick.
we'll pay for your undergrad, but then you're on your own.
Yeah.
And like in the last half of the last year, he was like, I hate farming. Like I don't want to do this. So he just takes out a bunch of loans. He goes to Oklahoma State for civil engineering, if I'm correct, structural engineering or civil engineering, which is just like bridges and
Yeah.
structures. And while he's there, he meets a professor. He starts doing research with him, and one day the professor gets a job at Berkeley, and the professor's like, "You want to come?" And my dad is
sick.
like, "Yes, right."
Okay.
So he writes a lot of recommendations,
California?
and he gets into Berkeley, and he got a PhD from Berkeley, just like that.
Oh.
Yeah,
Sick.
isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
So and then I'm guessing he stayed in Berkeley.
Yes, he
Don't
did.
mess with my microphone, man.
Sorry, microphone. Yeah, he made the wild decision to not leave California for Iowa.
Okay.
Instead, he did stay in California. He met my mom, who was studying. I will never understand this. She flew to the U.S. to get her master's in Japanese. She is Japanese. For
Yes.
those of you watching out.
Where's your mom from?
She's from Adachi.
Adachi,
Yes. Yeah. We apparently a long time ago we had a very nice samurai house, and then during the war, burned down. So we had to move, or my grandmother had to move, and she moved to Adachi after the war, and that's where my mom grew up.
After like World War II?
Yeah.
Oh, sick. That's
And
crazy.
that's where I'm living now. Yeah. Yeah. Actually,
Do you have any crazy stories?
About my mom or my grandma?
About like just your family were involved in World War
Oh,
Two.
okay,
Do you know
yeah.
anything?
Actually, yeah. For a final, I had to write a paper about family history. So
Okay.
I interviewed my grandma, and I actually got the chance to like hear her story.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it wasn't anything too crazy or wild, but she used to live in, and you'll have to forgive me, my map knowledge is terrible. She used to live in Hongo. Do you know where that is in Tokyo? Because I don't.
No, I have no
Yeah,
idea.
but apparently it was nicer.
Okay.
My great grandfather had a pretty decent business, but during the war, she comes home one day and the house is on fire. And like one of the neighbors says, no, luckily nobody died, but one of the neighbors says like Masako, like we have to go. The students are moved out of the city. The adults stay in the city, but
Yeah.
the children are all moved out. And she like studies in the countryside. She has this one anecdote where like the war was about to end, and the teacher said like you need to board up your doors because the Americans are gonna come in and like kill
Oh
you
wow.
all. Yeah, which is, I mean, didn't happen in Tokyo anyways. Didn't
Well, I
happen.
mean, there was a lot of firebombing, but yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but like they weren't kicking down the door, right?
Yeah.
But after that, I asked her about like, well, how was the occupation? And she said, I mean, she was 8, right? She was 8 years old when it happened.
Still though.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like directly affected by that, so.
Yeah, exactly. Like as a result, I live in Adachi now. I don't live in Hongo.
Yeah.
I don't even know where Hongo is, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious what that is.
Yeah.
Jamie, pull it up.
Oh, it's right there. Oh, thank you, Jamie.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Jamie.
shouts out.
Jamie.
So yeah, so my grandma says that when she was like during the occupation, the only memory she has is she would see MacArthur on the TV sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he was
General MacArthur. He was the SCAP leader. We'll leave it at that. We don't hold this.
he
history
ran
lesson.
the occupation, but
Yeah.
yeah, but she would see him on TV sometimes, and he would just be like, "Drop the nationalism, guys! Like,
Yeah.
just knock it off." But soldiers would like give her candy and stuff.
Okay.
So she was like,
So like the exact opposite of kicking doors down.
yeah, exactly, yeah. She was
Okay.
like she was telling me, she was like, yeah, no, I liked the occupation was a pretty good time for me,
Oh.
but
Okay.
yeah, like.
Interesting.
But I mean, she was also like a kid,
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
she had the same degree of nuance that I did when Bush was president, right?
Yeah.
So like I don't know, but yeah, that's my grandma's
Okay.
story.
Okay. So, what's the reason for her not liking Chinese people?
It came up. Yeah. Okay. So for some context,
Wait, don't drag your grandma. I'm
Oh
sure
no! I won't.
she's
She is a very sweet lady, and I
Yeah.
love her. She is my grandma. You better not drag my grandma.
No. I'm sure she's a very nice lady.
No, yeah,
you
she
know?
is. I mean, my mother and my grandmother are both very nice. They just are also,
Yeah.
they're Japanese. And
Yeah. I mean, there's certain viewpoints that come along with in certain time periods, and they're okay during that time, but
Exactly.
it's hard to grow up from that. So
Exactly.
as long as you understand that and we all grow from it, I
Mhm.
think it's not a big deal. But yeah, get to tell the story.
Oh no, yeah, no,
Tell the story.
No, but I do absolutely agree. Actually, to preface this, my grandma is surprisingly like more open-minded than I thought. I've been talking to her more
Oh really?
while I've been here.
So
But
just to clarify, you're right now that you're staying in Japan. So
Yes.
you're actually living
Yes.
with your grandma.
yes,
at the
I'm living with
moment
my grandma and my aunt. But
while
my
you're doing the internship.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So when I was a kid, I studied Chinese. 只讲一点. Any Chinese viewers will tear me apart for that. I'm sorry.
我
But,
不说中文。
讲
remember? Yeah,
不讲中文. Yeah, there we go.
我不讲中文。
Yeah. Perfect. So I studied.
いいね。
Oh, すごい。
よかった。
すごいね。結構. So yeah, the area that I live in Cupertino is 85%. My high school is 85% Asian. So
Wow.
yeah, I was
Wow. So there must have been like no problem then.
Exactly.
I guess growing up.
yeah. I did not. If anything, I was outed for being white
Oh really?
because I can count all my white friends from high school off this hand.
Holy crap.
Yeah. And which was like, well, we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
But for the sake of the story, so when I first enrolled, that was in kindergarten. So because there are so many Asians in the area, they offer a Chinese program.
Okay.
So the first half of your day is taught entirely in Chinese, and the second half of the day is in English.
Wow.
Yeah, from
That's
kindergarten.
That's actually pretty sick.
Yeah, no, it
Yeah.
really was, and I really took it for granted because I don't remember any of it after 9
Dang.
years. But
I'm sure like if you started learning Chinese, it will like come flooding back to you or something.
I hope.
Yeah, but I don't think your grandma would want that.
What was supposed to happen in Japan? But yeah, no, yeah. So my mother signs me up for the program.
Okay.
And
the Chinese program.
yeah,
Gotcha.
I get in.
Your Japanese mother signs you up for the Chinese program.
Exactly. Yeah, she
Okay.
was like, "Oh, language is the most important thing that you can learn," which is true. Language is the most important thing you can learn.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Completely agree.
Absolutely. But when I was a kid, I was like, "That's stupid. Can I just do my homework in English?" But anyways, my grandma calls up my mom one day, and she's like, "I heard that the words my mother used is." She said that I heard you're teaching my grandson the devil's language.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that's all my mom told me. But they like got into like a shouting argument for like an hour or something over it. And the thing is, in this story, my mother is the good guy. But since then, I'm sure you've heard that in Japan, the primary education, like the textbooks, are incredibly biased.
Oh, extremely.
So she'll just throw things out sometimes.
Yeah.
The rape and naking just didn't happen.
Yeah.
She said that to me.
I'm taking entire classes, literally dedicated. I'm taking like this semester specifically. I'm taking Japan today, which talks a lot about the issues today, and I'm taking also another class, Japanese occupation of Southeast Asia. So like I'm writing like literally my entire essay for right now is talking about Japan and Islam, and and specifically talking about Japan's occupation of Indonesia.
Wow, that's a really interesting topic.
Yeah, it's actually super interesting. I got like I'm reading a bunch of articles and books about it, so it's super interesting, especially like regarding my past.
Right, yeah.
But no, it's like the Japanese textbook system is super biased. So I mean, I guess it's understandable why certain people have certain views, just because they just a lot of times they don't know any better.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I also think it's something like. I think one of the most interesting things to me about Japan as a country is structurally it is so similar to the States because we have somewhat similar constitutions. We have
that's actually because America wrote
Japan's
constitution.
Absolutely. Yeah. But now we do. Now, as a result of America just kind of like kicking down the door. Like, here's your constitution. Like we have similar constitutions, except for the $600 billion spent on the military a year. Japan does not do that.
No, but increasingly Abe is seeking to spend more money on the self-defense force, which is it's becoming more than a self-defense force.
Yeah.
But
Although I did read a very interesting article that was like basically like if Korea did attack, let's say North Korea really did attack Japan someday, or they attacked South Korea first and then Japan, right? If. Like, would America really move in? Would they?
Well, I mean, yeah, because America is technically responsible for protecting Japan and their allies, so
like they say that.
I mean, we have bases here in Japan, and plus, I mean, like because we have these bases here in Japan, it gives like sort of like closer surveillance into the rest of Asia, like for instance, Russia. You know.
True. I don't know. This is not very good for my case, but I don't remember any specific examples. But I recently, like after the fall of the wall, the U.S.'s track record in terms of keeping promises made to foreign nations hasn't been perfect.
Oh yeah.
So that's all. I just don't know.
Yeah.
But so
it's complicated. So
it's complicated.
I'd rather not get into politics for this entire podcast.
No. This is like we could like completely dive into this, but we'll shut the door.
The main point is Japanese textbooks are extremely biased, and the government essentially creates and make it a whole one giant point. Japan creates and edits the textbooks that go out to the general public of Japan, and generally over Japan they use the same textbooks and they have the same education system. So if you go, whether it's from here in Tokyo or you go all the way down to Fukuoka, I mean generally the way that like the class structure is going to be the same anywhere else, whereas opposed to America, where it varies from state to state.
Yeah, yeah.
How, like, federally, I mean, the federal government in America is not going to nitpick on like what specific textbook. So in America, it's a lot more, I guess, varied. But Japan, overall, they have pretty much the same textbooks, and they're all extremely biased towards Japanese nationalist views.
Yeah.
But
basically, that's it. And my mom was raised on those textbooks, so she.
Oh, your mom too. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So yeah, like once she said like, actually, so the first 3 weeks of my stay here, my family was with me because they were just vacationing. I come here annually. Or I try. I try to come here annually.
Oh, cool. Since when?
Since I was born.
Oh, wow.
So if my math is
you've been
correct,
here a lot then.
If my math is correct, I've been here 22 times.
Really?
Yes.
Dang, dude, I honestly thought like you coming to Japan now was like a huge like.
Oh, it is. It is. Don't get me wrong. This is the longest time by far I've ever been in Japan. This
is how long?
6 months. 6 months, right? Before this, the longest I've been here is a month. But like the reason I'm such a progenitor of Adachi, which for our viewers back home is a city that was just like stopped developing in the 80s. It's not the touristy part of Tokyo.
It's just more residential.
Yeah, very hyper residential.
Yeah.
Even residential is like too good of a word.
I think maybe like the newest thing there is like the Nippori 280 liner.
Have
you ever ridden that before?
I have not ridden it. Yeah,
it's kind of annoying to ride. But,
really? Yeah. Probably. Yeah, the city just kind of like just took a pause in the 80s. But I love it because like every year I come here and that's home. That's Tokyo for me. I actually had not been to Shibuya until 3 visits ago. That was my first time going to Shibuya. Yeah.
Wow.
Ever. Shinjuku Station. I think I probably passed through Shinjuku Station as a kid.
Yeah.
But like I don't tour around.
I guess you don't really have a reason to.
Yeah, exactly.
As a kid with your family. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm with my family, right? My family, like we have the house in Adachi, so we'll go to the station nearby. We'll walk around like up and down the Arco River, but like there's no reason for us to go to Roppongi.
Yeah.
You remember when we went to Roppongi a couple of weeks ago?
For Shake Shack,
that was my first time ever in Roppongi.
No way.
Ever. Yeah. 22 visits.
What?
That was my first time in Roppongi.
Dang.
Yeah.
Well, I honestly would have thought that you would have gone to like a club over in Roppongi by now, or like after 6 months. I would have thought you like went to a club in Roppongi by now.
Nah, yeah.
Really?
I also don't club very much. I have enough.
Yeah.
I mean, Santa Barbara is.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. But
wait, what's Santa Barbara known for?
Santa Barbara is known for diligent studying. And hydration.
Hydration of what kind of liquids?
Mugicha. I got a lot of mugicha there, man. It's delicious. Okay. But yeah, so I don't know. I've really not seen most of the city.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is my first real like stay here.
So how does that exactly make you feel in terms of like do you feel
Japanese?
More do you feel like more connected? Like have you done a little like sightseeing and seen certain things, you're like, oh wow,
right.
I don't know how does that make you feel exactly?
So yeah, this is gonna be a bit of a dive. But actually and since you're also half, I'm sure you understand, one of the great crises of the halfie is like, what am I?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if Mike picked that up. I said, what am I? But
I need to get better mics, so in case you didn't hear his whisper.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe we'll throw in some subtitles.
Yeah.
But like what am I? Especially because my parents were, I don't know, the way that because I feel like parents, they want to raise you with their culture. Right? They want you to grow up with the culture they grew up with. And my parents do that. My mom certainly did. A fun fact, I never watched The Lion King until high school. Because when I was a kid, my mom never showed me American movies. Like, I only watched Japanese movies as a kid.
Until how long? How
high school was when I watched The Lion King for the first time. Yeah, seriously. So people would always make these like references, and I would like the Hakuna Matata stuff. Like, I didn't know what what they were talking about.
Yeah, so like all you know is like the kappa or
yeah.
or something.
Dude, Kiki's Delivery Service. It's a great movie, one of the best of all time.
How does it compare to Spirited Away?
Honestly, okay, Spirited Away is incredible, but Kiki's Delivery Service is like a nostalgia for me.
Okay, fair
It has
enough.
like a charm.
Actually, I still haven't seen Kiki's Delivery Service.
You haven't?
No,
I would
haven't seen. Actually, I haven't seen most of his movies.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? I love Ghibli movies because that's all I ever watched. Yeah. So
fair.
Yeah. No, I would highly recommend Kiki's Delivery Service. Yeah.
But that's like a bit like this is a question people always ask: Ghibli or Disney? Which one?
It's definitely Ghibli, man. I think it's
You're the first person I've ever heard say that.
Are you serious?
Like even Japanese people say Disney. From what I've from the people that I've asked, you know.
Okay, I think it's also because there's a huge adoration for American culture in Japan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but also Ghibli is, I don't know. I think Ghibli is ubiquitously better, in my opinion.
I think,
as Allison would say.
Not absolutely, right?
Not absolutely.
Not absolutely.
Not
okay.
absolutely. Me and Ramsey, we do not speak in absolutes. Sorry, mostly. For the most part, we do not speak
absolutely never speak in absolutes. I hope Allison hears this.
Yeah, I hope so too.
I never speak in absolutes.
Never?
Never.
Me neither. I never have. And I never will.
Yeah. I don't think I guess. Yeah. So how do you
right identity?
Yeah. How do you feel being
back from Ghibli?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, the big crisis is like, what am I? Right. My mom was always very diligent about making me know like Japanese pop culture and like food. I knew food very well, but actually, so I have this theory. Huh?
What's your theory? Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No. I was just saying food is good.
Oh yeah, no food's dope, man. I'm a big fan. Kind of needed to live. Yeah. But no.
What's your theory?
So I have a theory. So there's when I was a kid. I'm an atheist now. When I was a kid, I grew up agnostic. I'm an agnostic. I lean atheist, but I'm an agnostic. But when I was a kid, I grew up in a very specific sect of Buddhism called Shinyo Buddhism, which nobody has ever heard of, except for two of my Buddhist friends, who both, when they heard it, they instantly said, "You were part of a cult," which I don't.
The happiness cult?
No.
Not that one. Not that extreme.
Not that extreme. Not that extreme.
Okay.
But and I looked into myself, and some people call it a cult, but then people call anything a cult, right? I will say there were some questionable things, but that's not the point. The point is, I was raised in this religion, and my mother and my grandmother are both very adamant followers of this religion. My dad kind of got roped into it by my mom, but I think he's a Christian.
I have a similar experience.
Really?
Yeah. No. I mean, no. I'm just my parents got married, and my dad converted to Islam when they got married. So my dad became Muslim, but then when they separated, they got divorced. I don't really know what he is, but,
oh yeah, exactly. That's kind of how it goes, right? Yeah, my dad he prays and everything. Like he goes to temple. He definitely goes more often than I do. But he goes with my mom. Yeah. But so actually, I was raised when I was a kid. I had this conception of Japan being Shinyo-en.
Oh wow.
Shinyo-en was Japan for me. And when I would come to Japan, Shinyo-en Buddhism was Japan. When I would come to Japan, we would go to the temple. There's a huge head temple in Tachikawa. It's like 4 blocks. And it's every year we would go there, and that would be Japan for me.
Wow.
And the weird thing is I don't even know that many of the teachings. I don't know. But I know there's a 20-minute prayer, and I know by heart.
Wow.
And that was Japan for me. So I would I remember growing up, I would meet Japanese people and I would talk to them about Shinyo-en, and they would be like, "What are you talking about?" Imagine
That's I guess that's kind of going up to random Japanese people in Adachi and talking about anime.
Yeah. It's
to the people outside of Japan, everybody watches anime.
Yeah,
But when
yeah.
you come to Japan, you talk to people, actual Japanese people. They're like, I've never watched anime ever in my life.
Yeah, because it's like cartoons, you know.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
watch
yeah.
American cartoons, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so like Shinyon, and it like I don't know. So when I was 10, I think one day you're not gonna like this. One day I was reading the stories about the Buddha, right, and how everything came to be and like the modern history of it. I was like, wow, these are some great stories. And I
Yeah.
remember this in memory. I was like, wow, these are some great stories. And I thought about the word stories. And I was like, huh, do I really believe any of this? Or
What do you mean you thought about the word stories?
Like, because stories, when I think of a story, I think of fiction.
Okay.
And I was like, do I really believe any of this? Or is it just interesting to me?
Uh,
And I thought about it more. And after a couple of weeks, I was like, huh, I think maybe I'm just atheist. Because like I didn't learn any of the teachings. I would hear parables of the history of it, but a lot of Shinyuan's structure is just about the modern history of the religion. And I learned all about the history of the founder, but I don't really know any of his teachings per se.
is that kind of like the way kind of Scientology is today?
That's why it gets a bit of a cult label. One of the interesting things is in the prayer, you pray to different deities. But there are busts of the founding family. And you say your prayer to them before you say the prayer to the Buddha. Which I think is I don't know, I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
And they were alive during the war. That's when the religion was founded.
Okay.
Yeah, like less than 100 years
So
ago.
were they alive as the same year, around the same time as the Buddha? Or were they like
No, the Buddha was like hundreds of years ago, dude.
Wait, what war were you talking about?
World War II.
World War II.
World War II. Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Man. Okay, I was like, like the war.
Yeah,
The war.
No. What war were you talking
Yeah,
about,
I was like,
dude?
I was thinking like, I don't know, like what war are you? Is it the war? I was like, is this the war I should know about? The war. Okay,
Like
World War
the
II.
Crusades.
That's so weird. Like, so you were basically praying to these people that were alive during the Japanese World War II.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like
Before the main guy.
Yeah, the big crisis that they're always talking about. This is what we went through to do this.
Yeah.
Was like the imperial government shut them down, which is crazy to me. Like the imperial government was around in 1945, and now I am praying to him. You know.
Yeah.
That was always kind of weird to me.
So were these people connected to the government?
No. The thing is, like the founder, the reason I am not so quick to associate the whole, it was because I don't know why.
Your founder, yeah.
Why am I assigning that to him?
Should I bow?
Sorry.
Say their name.
But he's actually studied at I don't remember the name, but one of the big temples in Kyoto, and actually like legitimate. Not to say that Shinyuan is illegitimate, but legitimate Buddhists, well established from like hundreds of years of tradition, will come regularly to pray with him because he was one of the students also. So he does have that degree of legitimacy. But like right now, his daughter is in charge of the entire shebang. And she's like alive.
Even she's alive. Oh,
his
wow.
daughter, his daughter. I mean, she's
So
old.
people pray to her,
but like, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, she's like sort of deified. She's referred to exclusively as Her Holiness.
Holy crap! It's like the your plenipotentiary.
Yeah, yeah, I suppose so. How's the angle? Am I out of camera?
No, you're good. I'm just checking to make sure. It's not like a studio podcast yet, so
Not yet.
So
you know,
I still gotta assess these things myself. I don't got a
course.
Jamie sitting behind there to kind of make sure everything's going well. So I am the Jamie. Sorry,
nothing.
Yeah.
No, yeah, no.
But yeah, continue your. So you're talking about His Holiness, Her Holiness.
Her Holiness, yeah, Her Holiness. But anyways, but this is all fluff. Basically, like this religion, I stepped out of it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, at 10 years old, I'm like, so what am I? Like,
yeah.
What is being Japanese?
So when you was old, that's when you had this sudden realization of.
It was 10 or 12.
That's still pretty early, I think.
Yeah,
Like
I
for
don't
like that's pretty like young age to realize like to I guess.
because I remember I had like a very strong. I mean, when I was a kid, I just didn't like going to the temple, right?
Yeah.
Like kids don't like going to church, right?
Yeah.
But when I was young, I had one period of time where I remember I had a dream, and it just terrified me, like terrified me. Like someone showed up and they were gonna kill me in a week. I believed it with my heart. So I became very religious for like 6 months after that. Incredibly religious. I didn't die.
Okay.
That or heaven is really lame. But I became incredibly religious for 6 months. But then I don't know, like it just reversed. I had that thought one day about the stories, and I was like, huh, like do I believe any of this? And so yeah, at like 12, I just told my mom like I'm not gonna go to the temple anymore. Now I was 12
Here was it here in Japan or
in the U.S.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a big temple there also, and near San Francisco. But yeah, I just told her that one day, and she's like, "No, you're 12. Like, you're gonna keep going." And I was like,
as parents do. When
"Yeah."
you're
I
a
was
young
like,
one.
I was like, "Okay." But like, yeah, I was after that, I was atheist, and so since then, I've really tried to figure out like what qualifies me to be Japanese because I don't identify as white. I mean, I do. Like I am white, but I don't like when people ask me, "What are you?" I say Asian American. Almost every time I say I'm Asian American, and then
You don't say Japanese American.
I say I'm Japanese. I'm half Japanese, half white, because Japanese American implies that I'm full Japanese, and Japanese American also implies that I'm culturally Japanese, which I don't really think I am.
You think you're Shinyoen American?
I was. No, but sorry, I feel like I'm rambling a lot.
No, you're doing good. You're good.
Cut it whenever.
Yeah.
But
maybe a little, but a little too much fluff.
Okay. I'll condense. I'll be concise. But
just kind of talk about like I just want to know like since you've been here, how has your identity shifted since you've lived here since you've been living here for so long?
Okay.
Compared to when you would only come here a few times, like I don't know how long. Real quick, what was when you were coming here every year? You said the longest time you had ever spent was a month. Normally, how long?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Usually 2 weeks a year.
So 2 weeks a year. How does this basically? How do you view yourself in terms of your identity as a Japanese American, as an Asian American, versus when you came here? How's it shifted? I guess before you said you kind of felt like you coming here every year when you were younger, you kind of felt like you were, it was like Japan was Shinyoen Buddhism, and that's what Japan was for you. How has living here shifted that for you?
So yeah, it's been interesting. I feel like okay, now I think I can safely call myself Japanese. I've lived here. I do speak the language shoddily, but I do.
No, you speak better than me. So.
Well, I mean, I here's the thing. Like, I don't have an accent.
No, you definitely don't.
I don't have an accent.
You speak, and I'm just like, oh, he's.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I sound Japanese, and when
you sound like a Yankee.
I hate that.
Dude, you have a freaking Yankee on your phone. Dude, show the camera real quick.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, a Yankee in Japan is kind of like a Japanese high school thuggish kind of, not really a gangster per se,
but like as a gangster as someone in Tokyo can get.
Yeah. No, I mean a Yakuza is gangster.
Oh yeah.
A Yakuza is gangster.
I think
a Yankee is more like
a rebel.
Yeah, like a delinquent.
Delinquent.
More like who doesn't do what anybody tells him to do and goes around and just kind of.
Actually, the reason that I sound like that is because my mom never taught me formal Japanese. We always spoke really informally to each other.
Yeah.
So that's what I learned. So now, as an adult, I speak really informal Japanese, which I can't speak at workplaces. Which is why we work in an English office. But anyways, so coming here, I really do feel like I've found more of like my Japanese cultural self. But I also feel like I don't think I'm ever going to. Like, I don't know. I think I'm about as Japanese American as most Japanese American people are. But I still think primarily I am a South Bay Area Asian American, which I do think is a markedly different demographic.
What was this? Is that just like a tapioca drinking?
On the surface. On the surface. Yeah. We go to raves or I'm just kidding, I don't go to raves. But
so what does that mean exactly?
It's like there's a culture. It's hard to pin down. It's like asking what's American culture, because it's a lot of things, right? The whole thing about Asian American culture is it's everything. It's like a little bit of everyone's culture.
Yeah.
So
okay,
like everyone, like, okay, things that are like very obvious to us for dinner would be like if I'm with my friends back home and we're like, what are we gonna have for dinner? We either go to get pho, or we go to get Korean barbecue, or we go to get yakiniku, right? Or we'll go to the Chinese place that's open till 2 a.m.
Yeah, that's like everything, dude.
Yeah, exactly, right? And the thing is like it's all usually it's like a mom and pop shop, like immigrants running, right? And like we'll speak to them like in the native language.
Really?
Right?
So you know some like a little Vietnamese and a little
like a little bit, like a little bit.
Okay.
It means something.
It means something.
You to me, yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
Also for those of you watching at home, it's pho, not faux, not pho.
Get it right.
In Japan, they say pho.
Yeah,
which is like you guys are so close to the country.
Yeah.
like, you know.
I think most American people say pho more than Japanese.
More than absolutely more than Japanese people. Yeah, 100%.
It's the Japanese superiority that they preach.
Yeah, the greater Japanese empire.
Yeah.
We call it pho.
Yeah. Yamato race is right.
To my PR team when I run for president, I do not believe in any of that. Unless I'm running for the Japanese prime ministership, in which case, 100%. Sorry.
They can hear that.
Oh yeah.
If you want, hit that table.
Okay, this.
Yeah, hit that table. Yeah. Show that table as well.
Yeah. So like,
get a little more. Yeah. Okay, well not that close. I don't want to be that close.
Hey.
Just kidding.
Come on, man. Oh, okay, thank you. But so yeah, the South Bay Area culture is like there's on the surface there's the stupid like, oh, let's get boba, guys, right? But I think there is a distinct culture of there's a culture of expectations. One of the things that is super common, I think all stereotypes have a small degree of truth to them. Usually have a small degree of truth to them.
For sure.
No absolutes. But one of them is there is this incredibly intense culture of achievement. You have to achieve. You have to achieve, and your next achievement has to be like there's always something else to reach.
But I feel like I don't know. I guess from my experience, I feel like that's a lot more like Asian American than it is like Asian. Maybe.
Absolutely. It's an Asian American thing rather than Asian.
But I think it's still prevalent within like Chinese culture and Japanese culture.
I agree with that, but yeah, there's actually okay, my Asian friends back home would not forgive me if I didn't bring this up. There's the model minority myth, which is something called the model minority. Right? Which is like Asians are the perfect minority, they're super high achieving. But in reality, when you break Asians up by subgroups, or just groups, right, by ethnicity, then you see like typically Southeast Asians are incredibly disadvantaged. They live in inner city communities. They don't have the same resources that East Asians do, because Southeast Asians that came to the States came to escape war. My mom came in business class. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, they're in a disadvantage in their own country, and so you're basically saying that even coming here, even coming to America, we're in Tokyo right now. So even going to America,
there's that disadvantage. Okay. But back to me. Like, so there's this culture of like, one of the best anecdotes I think reflects the Asian American experience was one day I walk in and it was like junior year. So SATs and ACTs are, it's that season, right? Like everyone's taking the SAT to whatever, right? And my friend, this was back when it was still at a 2400. I think they changed it to 1600. I didn't take the SAT, but
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know. But my friend comes in one day and she is crying, right? And it's like 8 a.m. and I'm like, what happened, right? Why are you crying at 8 a.m. on a Thursday? And she says, like, my mom was yelling at me the entire car ride here, and I was like, oh my god, like, what happened? And she says, I got a 2250 on my SAT.
Dude, that's really good.
Yeah, 2250 out of 2400. And she got her ear torn off the entire way to school. Yeah, and this was.
Wait, who was that?
Like just one of my friends from back home.
Wow, dude, 2250 is a great score.
It's a great score, and this was normal. This is 100% normal. We were like, oh god, that sucks, but dude, it was not surprising.
Dude, I actually am not 100% sure what my score was, but I think it was like 15 or 1600.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is like yeah, it's an average score.
Yeah, it's an average score.
Yeah,
2250 is great, dude. I remember it was that. Like, I don't know why I remember, but like I don't. Yeah,
and like this was just normal. Like I will say I was one of the 2 humanities majors at my school, so I don't want to talk myself up. I was not all that smart in high school, but like my friends all are STEM majors. I've also realized like STEM is not a very common term outside of the people that I've met. Like
it's not
the Bay Area. I don't know. Maybe it's just Japan.
STEM is
I speak to people in Japan and I say STEM and people are like,
well, I guess it's different because it's an acronym.
Okay. Well, I look like a fucking idiot, but
don't worry.
Sorry.
Don't worry. You're good. I mean, as long as you're not like it. No, as long as you're not like.
Okay, but anyways, yeah. So like, I remember people would always find out the people who had aced it, because people had aced it. Yeah. Like people had aced it, and like, you know, a lot of my friends ended up at these top level schools. Like
and so I guess was this common amongst people who were East Asian versus Southeast Asian?
That was the interesting thing. When I went to college, I joined Vietnamese Student Association because I could not find the Japanese club.
As Japanese people do, yeah?
Yes, as Japanese people do, because I could not find the Japanese club. I heard whispers and rumors that there was one, but like I could never find it. Okay. And it was like the first week, and I wanted to meet friends. Yeah. So I joined VSA. VSA is actually very multicultural. Like there's a lot of It's the Asian club. But I realized the first time I had really been in a Southeast Asian community, because I started to realize all my friends from back home are Japanese, Korean, or Chinese. We're all East Asian. We're all the privileged Asians. And it really is, there really is a difference. I started to realize like how much of a difference there was. Really? So my community is incredibly, like insanely privileged. I come from a place of insane privilege. I would never deny that for a second.
Yeah, as people with AirPods have, yeah.
Okay, hey, actually, all my friends are very surprised. I'm usually a bit of a scrounger, and also, do not buy AirPods. They are a scam. I am so mad, dude. Jesus, I told myself when they came out, I'm not gonna be suckered for this stupid Cupertino marketing.
It's too late, man.
And I got them, but they're kind of.
Oh, whatever.
They're kind of. No, but yeah. So I come from a place of. Definitely like of privilege, and like my community, we had access to crazy resources. Personally, I actually did not. My parents were kind of lax about all this because my dad is white, and so my mom was just kind of she was just like Shinyuan, everything. Okay, So my mom, as long
as you believe in Buddha,
my mom wanted me to be she actually wanted me to be a Shinyuan psychic as a kid.
Whoa.
We have psychics. You pay them $20 and then they tell you like they actually like they give you advice.
Have you done that before?
I did it every time that I went to the temple.
And what happened?
And it was like if you believe in
what was the success rate? What was the percentage success rate?
It was like horoscopes. I would say it's like horoscopes.
Okay.
So like it's true, but it'd be stuff like don't hold so much hate in your heart. It's like
okay.
I shouldn't. Like you're right. Yeah. So
or just like simple traits that everybody else has.
Yeah,
like you're stubborn.
Yeah, exactly. Or they'd be like, they'd be like, you hold on too much to like things that have hurt you. And it's like, yeah.
I think everybody.
True.
I mean, yeah, that's normal.
I do think about the things that I regret. Yeah, like
okay.
You're right.
Whoa!
Here's your $20. But anyways, yeah. So like neither of my parents were ever too strict, but my friends would spend literally hundreds of dollars a class for SAT classes and ACT prep courses.
Yeah.
Like it was insanity. And so going to college and meeting a lot of Southeast Asians, and actually like we got pho the other night. I wouldn't shut up about Westminster, right? Westminster and OC.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
You and this Vietnamese lady would not shut up about talking about OC.
Orange County, baby.
Orange, whatever.
And not white OC either. But anyways.
Would not shut up about OC, and it's great pho.
Great pho. World's best. No, seriously, world's best pho.
Not according to her.
She said it was.
She said it was good, but she was like, it's not the best. It's not the best.
Nah, she said it was the best. I asked her
man.
3 times, and she said it was the best.
I don't know. I was so confused by that conversation.
Okay, yeah, she has an accent on what, Ramsey? But anyways, no, but so I got to see more of the like that culture, and it's been very eye-opening to me. So that's why I think broadly I think if we're getting technical, I feel East Asian American. That was the culture I was raised.
So that's where you feel like you can identify yourself more.
That was my childhood. Absolutely,
Yeah,
that was my childhood. I like there are some things jokes about like I don't know like there's a group on Facebook that got really popular like a couple of years ago called Subtle Asian Traits. I mean you're not Asian, so I assume you're not in it, but it is huge.
Well, Middle Eastern is.
I mean, yeah, true.
I mean, there's something in there.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, I can invite you to the group if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a group where people just like post about like the generic Asian stuff, right? Like, oh, who likes boba? Nah. But like, there's a lot of stuff that like people like really deep repressed memories from childhood.
Stay right there. I just want to make sure you're in the shot.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Wouldn't want to miss out on my handsome mug. Am I?
Gucci, that's perfect.
Will do. Kashikomarimashita. But
Okay, we Gucci.
All right.
50 minutes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
God, I really do just talk forever.
Yeah, dude, you need to shut up.
Okay,
and let me get to my questions.
All right, yeah.
No,
let's do it.
Okay. I feel like honestly, like for the most part, we've touched on a bunch of these things, like. How do you identify yourself? If you had to put it in a couple, like one sentence.
One sentence?
It's kind of hard to identify yourself in one sentence, but if you had to.
I'm an East Asian, half white, half Japanese. East Asian American. Sorry, East Asian American, half white, half Japanese.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah, that works.
All right.
How do people view you initially? I guess maybe tell me that, I guess, in America and versus here.
That's a good question. Okay, I'll start here because I've thought about it more. Here I am pretty ubiquitously a foreigner. I got the word down.
You like that word, don't you?
I like read it today and I remembered it existed. Yeah, but I am pretty universally a foreigner to people. Once I went to Starbucks. When I first got here, I was looking for a part-time job. I had worked at Starbucks in high school. So I went to Starbucks and I was asking them for a job, and they said, oh, foreigners. I didn't say anything in English. They said, oh, foreigners should apply at Ueno. It would be easier for them. And I was like, okay, thanks. And I left.
Wow,
yeah,
dang,
yeah,
dude.
yeah.
What? But you spoke in like perfect Japanese.
So that's the thing.
But it was kind of like informal maybe. And that's how they found out?
The thing about my Japanese is I don't have an accent because I started learning it when I was like a baby, right?
Yeah.
So it comes naturally to me in terms of sound. But I studied it as a kid, but it's the same as my Chinese. When I went to college, I don't practice it anymore. And I was also a really bad student. I was a really bad student in all my Japanese classes. Like I remember we would have the kanji tests.
Yeah.
And someone would just bring out an answer key and we'd all just copy them. And literally every single week for 4 years of studying Japanese. So I don't read kanji. I just can't because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just was not a good Japanese student. So even
now you don't really know that much Kanji?
Dude, I can't read kanji. Like, I can't read Japanese. I literally can't. I mean, I can read hiragana and katakana, fine. And I can read some kanji. I can get around the stations without any problem. But, like, I can't translate. I could not translate a document from Japanese to English. Or from English to Japanese.
Okay.
As I found out at my last job. Sorry, Miki-san, for putting you through that. But, so here, like, people will always be surprised that I don't have an accent. And they're like, oh, your Japanese is very good. But once I get a couple of sentences in, it becomes really obvious. Like, my grammar is lacking, my vocabulary is lacking.
Yeah.
I definitely cannot articulate in Japanese. So here I'm viewed as a Japanese person who has only lived in America, which is what I am.
Yeah.
I would visit here, but they were always visits. And I consider myself an American here more than I consider myself Japanese. But in the States, the thing is, I have yet to leave my community, actually. I have yet to leave
You've never been to Iowa or anything?
Oh, I have. That's true. I've been to Iowa twice.
Okay.
Because every year we have the discussion, where are we going to vacation, which family we're going to visit, and the choices are Tokyo and Iowa.
Yeah.
Tokyo usually.
What's Iowa? Corn?
Corn.
Is this what's known
for? Actually, funny story. Where my grandparents lived, they moved to Arkansas now to live with my uncle. But where my grandparents lived before was a place called Prairie City, which I always thought was funny because city was a very generous word for what it was. It was probably the size of this campus, maybe smaller, honestly.
Dang, dude, that's not a city. That's a town.
It's a village.
It is
legal. Like, you look it up on Wikipedia, village is 200 people or less, so it's a village. There were less than 200 people when we would go there. The population would markedly go up because we brought 6 people.
Holy crap!
Yeah, in terms of tourist attractions, they have a gas station, which is very wonderful, an ice cream parlor, which is nice. It's the only one for about 40 miles. Because it's the only city for about 40 miles, and 3 churches.
3 churches.
3 churches.
What, dude?
Yeah.
Like, is like different sects, or is it just like?
I think one of them is Methodist, but I think the other 2 are both Catholic.
That's
Protestant.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah. But I mean, they're like, everyone there is Christian. Everyone there is a white Christian, so they all need to go to church, and each church can only fit like 80 people, right?
So how do people view you there?
The thing is, I don't really remember. Because I was only a kid. I only went there as a kid. But
Then you've only been in like really California then.
Yeah. I really don't remember. I was like a baby. Not a baby, but like I was like a kid.
Yeah.
Right. But my mother. I remember my mother would get comments sometimes. Like my mom, because she's Japanese. Like a bunch of people asked her if she was Chinese, because we went to a Chinese restaurant in Iowa, and I ordered sushi and ramen. And my mom was like, huh, isn't that funny? And I was like, oh yeah, huh. And then my cousins were like, why? And they're like, well, we're ordering sushi at a Chinese place. And they're like, yeah.
As one does.
Yeah, like, where else? But anyway, so yeah, in California, my community has always been Asian American at home, right? The white part of my culture was really just one of my friends is really white. So he is my entire white culture. Shout out Peter Martin.
I want to blur that out. I don't want to hear about it. Peter Martin.
Peter Gordon Martin.
I don't want to hear about his name.
Put some respect on his name.
Yeah, never again.
But I came to college and I instantly joined VSA, which is the Asian club, and now I'm in a fraternity, which is technically multicultural.
Don't you dare shout them out. Don't you dare. I swear to God.
Alpha roll for life, baby.
I got
it's a multicultural fraternity, but there are like 70 members, and I think 5 of them are not Asian. That might be generous.
Okay.
I think 4 of them, 3 or 4 of them are not Asian, and I think I'm one of them. No.
Does this have to do with how people view you initially?
Huh? Yes, it does. Sorry. Okay. What I'm trying to say is I've never felt excluded.
Okay.
Almost never. I introduced myself as Frank McMullin, but like everyone can tell that I'm half. just like by my face. So they usually ask me like, "Oh, what are you?" So I've never felt like an outsider in my community.
Mm-hmm. So like if you're in California and you go to Japantown, or if you go to, I guess, Chinatown, or I don't know, Koreatown. I don't know what kind of communities you have over there, but
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vietnam Town. I don't know. I guess it's
Little Saigon. No, sorry.
Little Saigon.
Little Saigon isn't really Little Saigon.
Okay.
Saigon, yeah.
But yeah. So I guess the way that people view, like, they just probably view you as another.
There's people know when you're an Asian American in an Asian community.
Yeah.
People, like, you can tell, like, the young people who are more Americanized, who have been Americanized, and you can tell that, like, because some people are still immigrants. Like, they grew up in the foreign country and they moved to the community. And you can tell that those people are immigrants, like, immediately. Just by the way they carry themselves, the way that they act. So whenever I'm with an Asian American community, I never feel excluded. I feel perfectly at home. That was what I would...
Regardless of whether they're Chinese or...
Yeah, regardless, universally. But if I walk into, like, Japantown and I walk into a Japanese store, I don't talk to them in Japanese.
Oh, really?
I always talk to them in... I usually talk to them in English. If my Japanese friends are there, like, they'll speak to them in Japanese. And I'll say hello and, like, thank you in Japanese. I'll make, like, very basic conversation.
Are you, like, ashamed, or do you just feel embarrassed, or...
Kind of, yeah.
Feel embarrassed?
Honestly, I feel really embarrassed about my Japanese. I really do. It is...
I noticed that. You wouldn't even help out Allison during her time of need.
Oh, okay. That's because my Japanese, I don't think it's good enough for that.
Honestly, I think, like, because I was talking about it yesterday at the internship, and I think your Japanese might be better than you. I mean, I don't know. I feel like if you just had a little more confidence in your own Japanese, because you're a confident person in general.
I'm gonna blush, Ramsey. Oh my god.
Shut up. You're confident. I mean, you're pretty direct, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when it comes to your Japanese, that's the one area where you kind of feel like reluctant to sprout. Mm-hmm. And I read somewhere that, like, actually the reason, so women tend to be better at learning foreign languages.
Really?
Because they're less shy to make mistakes regarding language.
Toxic masculinity, baby.
Yeah, and I guess this kind of, like, goes back to, like, me, not really knowing my languages either that I should know.
Really?
Yeah, 'cause I remember being a kid, I was always embarrassed to try to speak. Even now, like, speaking with my mom in French, or trying to attempt to speak Spanish with anybody, I feel kind of embarrassed. Or even Japanese too. Like, sometimes I'll feel embarrassed to talk with somebody.
Yeah, right. Because it's like, it feels like I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I can speak to your experiences, but maybe you feel something similar. Like, for me, the question is, whenever I'm with Japanese people, is, are you Japanese? Because especially because race solidarity is such a huge thing here. Like, I'm sure you've noticed.
Yeah.
Japanese people really like Japanese people. Like,
it's a very homogenous society.
Extremely, right? Another very brief anecdote. When I went to Taiwan, my mom did not let me shop at the night market because she was like, you're going to get poisoning, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. But I didn't eat anything there.
Wow.
When I was in Tokyo a couple of summers ago, we were sitting on the bus, and a guy walks up to us, like a guy in his 50s, and he's like, you guys want this taiyaki? Like, a complete stranger. And I'm like, no. And then my mom's like, arigatou gozaimasu. And I'm like, what? Like, you're going to take that? And it's like, dude, there's like pieces ripped out. And she's like, oh, yeah, thank you very much. And he was like, oh, yeah, sorry, I ripped some out, but, like, I don't want them. And she took it. She took it and she ate it. And I was like, what is wrong with you? Like, we're on a bus. And she's like, but he's Japanese. And I was like, are you serious? And she's like, yeah, why would a Japanese person lie to me? And she really believes that. She really does. So, so when I am in a Japanese community, I always feel like an outsider. And I know that if I spoke the language perfectly, I would not, because I don't have an accent. People think I'm Japanese when I speak initially, because I don't have an accent. But if like since my Japanese is shoddy, I get ousted. I'm being very dramatic, but
I
you
guess
kind of get what I'm saying.
you get automatically put in a different category.
Yeah, like
So
you're
I
an
guess
outsider.
from like perception, you already kind of like looked at like kind of like, oh, he might be gaijin or he might be a foreigner.
Oh, people like know I'm a foreigner.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what
yeah.
I mean? Yeah.
But then you start speaking a little Japanese, like, oh, he's Japanese. But then you start speaking more Japanese, like, oh, no, he is gaijin. He is foreigner.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's like, and I really feel like. Because I also...
But they don't treat you in a bad way because of that, do they?
No, because I am still Japanese. That's the thing. I am still...
I don't think it's because you're Japanese. I think it's just like, it's common here in Japan where, like, Japanese people, because you're a foreigner, they'll put you in a different category just because you're a foreigner. They won't necessarily treat you bad because... They won't treat you bad because they won't look down on you, but they'll kind of, I guess, speak to you... Even if you like your Japanese is pretty good.
I think actually I am a believer that the idea of Japanese people being polite and kind to everyone is a bit of a myth. 2 reasons for this. 1, I worked at Lawson, as you know. People can just be very rude.
But that's just people in general, dude. You work at a convenience store.
Exactly.
And people are just gonna like they don't care about this guy behind the counter.
I know, Ramsey, all right? I quit for a reason. But more importantly, there's generally, I don't trust academic analyses of like foreign societies. I think it's kind of a little bit of Orientalism, which is like a long time ago during the colonial period, where people would go out in the world and be like, oh, wow, these Japanese men are very small and very docile. And they're like, it became a whole academic discourse. It's a big reason why we have so many stereotypes today. Anyways, so I think I don't really generally trust modern academic analyses of societies, but I took a sociology of Japan course. And one of the things I learned, which is very interesting to me, is the concept of omote and ura, which is the front and the rear, the back, of how you carry yourself in society. So the omote is the face that you see. It is the stereotype of politeness, of kindness. You never disrespect anyone, right? Like my mom will get yelled at by some random old guy on the street and she'll bow immediately, no matter what. Like that's just what she does. But the ura is like what you're really thinking. And that's what you hear behind closed doors. And when I meet family friends, that comes out. We had dinner with a family friend a while ago, and they were talking about Naomi Osaka, the tennis player, right? Yeah, and like what they kept saying was because she's Osaka. I don't know if she's from Osaka. Her name's just Osaka. I'm
not entirely certain.
Yeah, I don't know, but she's Japanese. She's as Japanese,
half Japanese, half black.
Yeah, she's
American.
But she is as Japanese as I am. You know what I mean? Coming up. Like, is she really Japanese though? Because like people what did she decide to choose her Japanese citizenship?
If I'm not mistaken, I do believe that she is deciding to keep her Japanese citizenship.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So she would,
as opposed, because like, so once you hit a certain age, once you turn 22.
22. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to, like according to Japanese law, you have to pick. If you have a dual citizenship, you have to pick which one you want to go with. So since Naomi Osaka has a dual citizenship with Japan and America, once she turns 22, she has to pick either if she wants to retain her Japanese nationality or American nationality.
Yeah, exactly.
So
she's choosing her Japanese nationality. So she,
if I'm not mistaken, I'm not 100%.
I'm not sure, but let's say she is, right?
Yeah.
So what they kept saying, and they're my family friends. I really, they're good people. I know that, but they kept having like the comment of like, but she's not really Japanese. And just like in the same tone that you would say the grass is green, and that's not how I'm treated. Do you know what I mean? So there is definitely like a degree of like. I think the difference with racism in Japan is people won't yell at you on the street.
Yeah, for sure.
But they will just treat you different because you are fundamentally different to them.
Yeah.
They like in the same way that they think the sky is blue, Naomi Osaka can't be Japanese. Because Japanese people are racist. Even though I could. That's kind of
Yeah, you can never know what Japanese people think about you, and honestly, it's a lot of times been frustrating for me, because I can never know if Japanese people are being genuine with me, or
Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm friends with a lot of Japanese people, and I have a lot of like close like. I'm close with like a very close with like a Japanese family here in Japan, and I know that like they're super kind to me. They treat me like the best,
Absolutely.
and like they have never experienced like the way they treat me is just very open and kind. So I have no doubt about that. But like obviously you encounter more Japanese people, and you just and then you see the way like you're a friend. I see the way that friend treats other Japanese people, and then the way that they talk about them afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm just like, wow, like why didn't you just say that?
Yeah.
Why did you just act like you're their best friend? Like
Exactly.
they're like smiling and they're very open and energetic. I'm like, but you just were like,
Yeah,
you
were just like all over them, and then you turn around and you're like, God, I can't.
This guy.
Yeah, right. It's like, and that's one of the reasons why, honestly, I am okay with not being Japanese. I could never live in Tokyo. I've already decided that I could never live in Tokyo. I think this is probably going to be the last time I ever live in Tokyo, rather than just visit.
But Tokyo is just a city, There's other parts of Japan, so
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
but for me, there are just too many. You know me. I'm a Californian. I'm a pretty best state. Yeah. I'm a pretty liberal guy, right? And there are too many problems in Japanese society which are just not addressed because that's the rule. You don't talk about it.
That's true.
And I am not comfortable with that. Not uncomfortable isn't really the right word. It's not like I'm here and I'm like,
yeah.
God, class struggle.
Yeah, no, I know exactly. What
you know what I mean. Right?
I love, like, honestly, Tokyo is the second place I've ever lived in my life. Atlanta, like I was born and raised in Atlanta. Lived there for like until I was 21, and then Japan, Tokyo is become like my second home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just because it's the only other place that I've lived. I've been other countries, but I've never lived in another place. So in that sense, Japan or Tokyo has become my second home. But I don't think I could live here for more than a couple years.
Right?
Yeah. I don't think I could. Yeah. It's just I mean, it's not bad. It's just it's not something I was.
It's not what you're used to.
Yeah, it's not what I'm used to. I feel like I could come back to Tokyo as many times as I want. I love the city. I love the what it offers. I love how safe it is.
Oh yeah.
It's just like you don't have to worry about anything. But it's just like I guess there's because it's a big city and it has such a dense culture and such a rich language. Sometimes, personally, for me, it gets a bit difficult to navigate over a long period of time. So in that sense, I don't think I could stay. I feel the same way as you.
Yeah, right. And I think another thing that I've noticed is, okay, so for some context, I just started working with you at the embassy.
Yeah.
Before this, I worked in an office for USJC. Hence the Tomodachi thing. I do not work for Uniqlo.
I don't think they can see that from there, but okay.
Oh, okay, well, yeah, here it is. Yeah. It's I got it for free. It's kind of a nice shirt. But I worked for. Sorry. All right. I'm just Atlanta. Dang. So I worked at USJC, and it was a good job. I really learned a lot from them, and I'm glad I got to work with them.
Yeah.
But it was a very Japanese environment. Very. It was a bilingual office, but it was a Japanese office. For sure. And I came to the embassy, and the very first day, Ramsey here argues for 3 hours with this other girl, our friend Kayla, and
I'd prefer not to give names, but
sorry,
yeah, you're good.
sorry.
I think I made that mistake in my last podcast. That's said somebody's name, first and last name. I was maybe I should.
Right. Okay, we'll call her Kay.
Okay.
But
I did say Allison, didn't I?
Anyways, shoot.
Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Damn, it's done. Well, you didn't say my name, did you?
Who are you again?
But no, but. The first day, right? And we had this discourse. And that was the first time I had seen it since I was in the States.
Oh yeah, yeah. I guess we were talking about like honestly, we kind of segued into a bunch of different conversations.
Yeah.
Just talking about like freedom of speech and just like how Japanese culture differs from American culture. We talk about a lot.
And I mean, I'm not sitting there like, what do you think of Nietzsche? But like, how do you pronounce his name? Nietzsche. I don't know.
Guess, yeah.
Sorry, Nietzsche fans. But like, I do, I would rather have like a productive discussion.
Absolutely, yeah.
Talk for 3 hours about the weather, and and like that's one of the things that I've noticed in Tokyo. It doesn't really like you don't sit down with your friends and talk about stuff
unless you get drunk.
And even then, it's still like I don't know. I've made a few Japanese friends here. It's I don't know. I don't meet any people in the city besides like you guys and a few other people. But like my Japanese friends, like when I talk to them, they're always like, they're always like, oh wow, you, like I just talk about just like I don't know life, right?
Yeah.
My experiences, their experience living in Tokyo, my experience living in America, and they're like usually like I don't have these kinds of conversations with like people. My friends here because like we just don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Right. And like I actually had a really interesting conversation with one of my friends. She was telling me about like workplace harassment, sexual harassment and stuff. And she was like,
Japanese?
a Japanese friend. And she was like, I've never like talked about this with like a friend of mine.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, that's not, because that's just like it's a normal thing in America. You come home from work and you're like, dude, my boss is such a
you can say whatever. Just
such a rude guy.
Just say whatever you want. Say whatever you feel like is
such a meanie.
No, you can. Okay, there you go. You can curse just as long as you're not like making it a point throughout the whole.
Of course.
Okay,
Well, he's an ass.
Yeah.
Like he was saying some really sexist stuff today. Like blah blah blah. That's completely normal, right? You walk home and that's just like the first thing that comes out of your mouth. But in Japan, and I'm sure it was not the first time she's ever talked about it, but like it's not normal.
Yeah.
It's the ura.
Yeah.
How am I doing in the camera?
Here,
I'll take this.
Bet. Okay, get out of here.
But anyways, so I don't know. There's just too much, and it's too much in Tokyo. Too much in Tokyo for me. Yeah.
So this is the ura. Omote.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like what they're showing versus
what they actually think. And in America, like we just have the ura. Yeah.
I mean, so like I've heard a bunch of different things, and I've experienced certain things, and I just think it depends where you're. Everyone has their own experiences, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
Like for instance, like the person that I had in my first episode on the podcast, Tiffany. She's African American. Her parents are both black from America, but she was born here and raised in Japan, in Ibaraki Prefecture. And
you don't even know where that is.
It's right above us. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's just not too far.
Yeah. Adachi is Tokyo for me, but
it's like right above Adachi, pretty much.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never been outside.
Yeah.
Anyways,
go ahead. You probably should.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably.
But she was born and raised in Ibaraki in Japan, and her first language is Japanese.
Yeah.
And she says that personally for herself, she has never experienced any type of racism. I would think it's mainly because she grew. I believe she grew up in like a much smaller area, so everybody knew her, and that she grew up around that culture, and that they knew that even though she was African American,
she was Japanese.
That she was essentially she had like
she
had like the same like Japanese like mannerisms, like the way she so she was basically raised as a Japanese. So for her, she's never according to her, she's never experienced those kind of stuff before. So I don't want to deny her that.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely not. Yeah.
But I think that's honestly, I think that's the one scenario in which I've heard that they've never. She said she felt more discrimination in America than she did here in Japan.
Yeah, I remember you. Yeah, you did mention that. And I can't speak to her experiences.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think one thing that is interesting to me is I had a conversation with my mother. I think I mentioned this like very briefly earlier. But I had a conversation with my mother, and well, like when she was here, and it ended with maybe I should pull you out of college, from her. And the reason why was because I made the insane suggestion that Japan is racist. That's why I said to her.
When did you say that?
Like this was like one of the last nights that she was here. We were just having dinner, and I was just like, man, Japan it's crazy how
When
racist.
was that though?
Pardon?
When was that?
Like
How
like,
long ago?
like June.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like the first 3 weeks that I was here.
Oh, okay.
Is when my family was here with me. And I was just like, yeah, it's crazy how racist Japan is, huh? And my sister was just like, oh yeah, it's crazy. And my mom was like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I mean, it's crazy racist. Like Japanese people, like you don't trust black people. You've told me that to my face, and which is super racist, right? And she's like, no, but racism is different here. Like that's different here. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You're discriminating against someone for their race. And she's like, no, but it's not like America. And I'm like, why? And she's like, well, that's just how Japanese culture is. And I'm like, okay, so Japanese culture is racist, right? And it just kind of like goes in circles. And like the more I talk to her about it, the more it seems to me that I think in America, since it's such a melting pot of cultures, especially in liberal California, we talk a lot about identity, about like what contributes to your role in society, like what in-groups and out-groups are, like who belongs, as Kanye West said, who belongs in America, or no, who will survive in America? Sorry, but there's a very nuanced discussion about that, right? Even the model minority myth being deconstructed into like its subgroups is, I think, a very high level of nuance in terms of identity.
I mean, it's interesting to look at. You kind of like start to understand a little more about like why systems are in the place that they are, and why certain stereotypes are the way that they are. So it creates a better understanding.
Absolutely.
These kind of discussions might seem trivial at first, or they might seem like who cares? Doesn't matter. Just live your life or do whatever. And I mean, sure, like these kind of conversations might take up a lot of time at first, but it develops an understanding that a better understanding of where we get all our stereotypes, where we understand like why we act the way we do. Exactly. There's certain ways that we think.
So yeah, no, 100%. So I think that's the thing to me in Japan is like my mother does not identify racism. Like she can't identify racism in Japan because it's Japan.
It's very different. It's a different kind of racism.
It's not what she, like when she came to America, that was her introduction to racism, which is overt discrimination. But then there is like passive. People just treating you differently because you're different. Do you know what I mean?
No, I remember I honestly I haven't had too many experiences in which I'm aware of the racism here. Any personal experiences. I've heard stories. But, I've had, certain situations where, honestly, overall, as long as I'm polite and I respect rules and, certain, ways of carrying yourself, then nobody really cares. They just kind of look over me. But obviously, there's been certain situations. Like, I remember one time when TJ was located in Azabujuban, I went to I passed by this restaurant. They had a for hire sign, and it was in Japanese. I read it. I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna ask him real quick. So I asked this lady who was like waiting at the front door, and I asked her in Japanese if they were hiring, and she doesn't based off what I said, she could not know if I did or did not understand enough Japanese to do the job. But right away, even with my the way I said my sentence perfectly, she still went up to me like gaijin dame.
Oh my god, dude.
Which essentially means foreigners, like No.
Yeah, it just says
foreigners not
foreigners,
allowed.
no
Yeah.
foreigners.
Yeah.
Not even like with no foreigners.
No foreigners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and with like doing like this,
man.
You know? And I was kind of like, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it was kind of like.
But it's just like that's automatic to you.
Yeah,
it was like your automatic reaction.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
Yeah, and like she didn't even give me a chance to talk more.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then I went to in Hiro, I found a job and I saw for hire sign. It was in Japanese. Immediately I walked in, dude. I had just gotten out of the gym.
Mm-hmm.
I was wearing like a t-shirt. I had a big backpack.
Do you lift, Ramsey?
Huh?
Do you lift?
I do jujitsu.
I wasn't
no
aware. I wasn't aware.
I don't lift.
All right.
Jujitsu, man.
All right, Mr. Pex. Anyways.
No, so yeah, I was, and I saw this for hire sign, and I just walked in and I asked them in Japanese if they were hiring, and they're like, yeah, actually we are, and because I saw the sign, they're like, just come back at another time and we can do an interview with you. And I said, okay.
Yeah.
So that was it. Talked to them in Japanese, and the media left. I came back, and the next time I had my rireksho, my resume.
Yeah, I don't even have a Japanese resume.
I mean, they told me I had to have it, so I came with my rireksho. I came in with which is my resume, and I kind of put on like some decent looking clothes, like more formal.
Right.
And I did the interview, and I spoke to them, and the interview was pretty much for the most part in Japanese, and obviously like there was some communication issues. I said like I didn't really know how to say this, but they were like understanding. There was a staff there who would speak English. He would talk with me. He was a foreigner as well.
Oh wow, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, and then no, they did not even like. My ethnicity didn't even matter to them. It was completely like they didn't care. But the thing is also most of the people working there were foreigners. They were all Asian, but they were all like there was like a couple of cooks in the back are Chinese. There's like a server who's Vietnamese. There's one guy, he's from I forgot what
Atlanta.
country. No, he's like somewhere in the Middle East. I want to say like maybe it was not Uzbekistan, but
I got mistaken for as Uzbekistani once.
you do look you could be Uzbek.
That is, I've never heard it, but
you could pass for Uzbek. No lie.
Yeah, it was because
they have a very distinctive look.
It was an Uzbekistani guy who told me that. He was like, he saw me and he was like, oh, he started like, I'm sorry, I don't know the language. Is it Uzbek?
I guess I don't know exactly what language I speak over
Sorry,
there.
Aurora.
Maybe I don't know, because there's a lot of Uzbeks in Afghanistan, so maybe they speak a bit of maybe they speak a bit of Pashto or.
Oh yeah, true.
Maybe.
Yeah, but he started speaking to me in his native language. And I was like, sorry, like I don't speak it. I'm an American, and he was like, oh, I thought you were an Uzbekistani. Like I saw you, I immediately thought that.
I have similar experiences.
Really? Yeah. No,
just look at any race, just people think I'm them.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I want to get through a couple of these.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because I think we're at an hour and a half now.
Oh my God! Wow, you're too charismatic, Ramsey.
Dude, we can talk forever.
We really could. It's kind of dangerous.
Yeah. Because I don't want to make it like I want to make it like 2 hours the max.
Okay.
But yeah.
You like
I said how do people view you initially, and how do people view you after they get to know you? I feel like we kind of touched that. Right?
Yeah, I think so too.
How do you take advantage of that perception by others?
I have a short anecdote for this one.
Okay.
I mean, all of my stories have been short anecdotes.
Now we're
so
I don't believe you anymore.
But so my full name is Frank Shintaro McMullin. Frank Shintaro McMullin. Yes. Shintaro. I can write the kanji for you later if you want.
Okay.
But Frank Shintaro McMullin.
Is that why she would call you Shintaro? Or
Shintaro.
Okay.
Oh, did I not tell you that?
No.
Yeah. My Japanese name is
Shintaro.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so when I was a kid. Okay, first off, it's 2019. And my parents named me Frank, which pisses me off to no end. Like, dude,
I'm sorry.
Frank McMullin, man. Dude, it was not a heavy hitter. Why don't
you just like switch your middle and first name? Just make Shintaro McMullin.
Yeah, I've thought about that, But actually, I asked my dad, why did you name me this? First off, why did you name me Frank? I have a great grandfather or something. I don't know, potato farmer or something. His name was Frank.
Okay.
But that's where they got Frank from. But he said he chose that name for me because my mother obviously wanted me to have a Japanese name, right? But it would my dad, despite being an engineer, good understanding of social politics. Frank Shintaro McMullin lets me choose my race. So I can be Frank McMullin or I can be Frank Shintaro, right? So I can present myself as Japanese American or just as white.
So here in America, do you say your name is Frank Shintaro? Oh, sorry. I don't know why I'm saying that. Here in Tokyo, we're in Tokyo, and believe me, I'll put a picture of Tokyo Tower.
Yeah. Oh, a picture of Tokyo Tower. Yeah. Oh, that'll do it.
We'll pose next to Tokyo Tower. Yeah. So I guess here in Japan.
In Japan, yeah.
Do you call yourself Frank Shintaro?
I introduced my last office. I was Shintaro, and none of them, like most of them, didn't even know my name was Frank. I introduced myself to Japanese people as Shintaro. I introduced myself to Americans as Frank. I introduced myself to bilingual speakers as both. You can choose whichever one's easier. And so, this is like, it's not something that I was ever thought about back home, because back home I was just Frank. All my friends back home, obviously, they only know me as Frank. They bring up Shintaro. I was like, you have a Japanese name. Like, I don't know. Another weird.
I think it's cool.
Yeah, no, I like it. When I was a kid, I hated it, but I like it now. But like in I don't know, whenever you want to assert your authority over someone, you call them by their Asian name back home. So yeah, here I definitely take advantage of it in whichever situation I can because I want to die with a lot of money. So yeah, hope that answers your question.
Yeah. So that's how you take advantage of people's perception of you. Just kind of change the way that you.
I kind of change it.
That's cool. Yeah. How would you describe yourself? Not how you identify yourself, but how do you describe yourself?
That's the modern day George Clooney. Would that be too much?
All right, get out of here. Whatever, we're done.
Okay.
Dude, you're freaking 20.
You're right. I'm a younger, more
dude. He's literally 3 times older than you.
Wow, that's true. Dang, and he's still a heavy hitter, dude. He was on Esquire, like.
I don't know. I don't follow that shit.
I don't know, man. He's still got it. That's all.
All right.
But
shouts out to George Clinton.
Shouts out to
George Clinton.
George Clinton. Shouts out to George Clinton too.
Have it be known, I've been at my internship all day, so I'm
great
music. George Clooney. Sorry.
Yeah. Shouts out to George Clinton, George Clooney.
It's been a long day.
Not Bill Clinton. We know what you did with Epstein. But anyways, so okay, briefly. How do I see myself? How do I identify myself?
How do you describe yourself?
How do I describe myself? I won't give you the interview answer.
Yeah,
it's not
please,
that interesting.
just hurry up. I want to go home and eat.
Hey.
No, I'm just kidding. I want to hear what you have to say.
Okay. Oh, thanks. I like to think of myself as, I don't know. I'm an Asian American. I really like rap. I really value learning. I think learning is super important. I care about politics. I care about. I think what I'm most interested in is how societies. This is such a broad and like vaguely pretentious thing to say.
Oh, okay.
What were you saying?
Oh, I thought you said the questions is very broad and vague. I mean, that's the whole point.
I mean, yeah. that also. So yeah, I guess you're gonna get a broad and vague answer in response.
Yeah.
But I think the thing I'm most interested in is learning about how societies function and how they justify themselves. Like, I think nationalism is such an interesting thing. Because it's so basically, okay, according to this one guy, Tim Urban, shouts, this one guy who wrote a bunch of blog articles. A bunch of blog articles. He describes like society as like you are always going to identify with the people who are more similar to you than the other, which is also something that Mr. Edward Said talked about, the guy who wrote a bunch about Orientalism, which I mentioned earlier. But basically, like, the nation is an in-group, and foreigners are the other, right? That is usually the biggest group that you identify yourself with. The smallest one might be your family, right? And it's just interesting to me that, you know, from almost all of human history, people have just been like, I'm Japanese and you're not, so we should rule you because God made me.
Yeah.
You know, and all the Japanese people were just like, yeah, that sounds about right, right? And like in America, we would just be like, oh, like, we're white, and then they would just run another country, and people in America would just be like, yeah, it sounds about right. And you know, it was like until very recently, this was just okay, right? And now, you know, we're like, maybe everyone is human. And I just think it's so interesting how much conflict that idea creates. How really fundamentally some people can't accept that, like, just because you're from a different country doesn't mean you have less humanity, you know? So I think that's interesting. That's a little bit, that's the sort of stuff I try to learn about. It's a little bit about myself.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to be a journalist someday.
Just kind of segues off from the next question I want to ask you, but how does this relate to what you see yourself doing in the future?
Perfect. Yeah, I want to be a journalist. I want to be a journalist because I am most interested in, like, in terms of my career, I want to write and bring light to the communities in the world that don't really have any global exposure, right? There is definitely a hierarchy of how much people care about things in the media. And every journalist says this, and every news company says that they're going to do this, and then they don't in the end. So we'll see where I end up. But, like...
Don't lose that spirit.
I'll try very hard not to.
Create your own podcast if you want to.
I'll
shout you out.
Yeah? Oh, thank God. All right. We'll shout each other out until we swap our 100 followers.
Yeah, until we all have the same followers.
Yeah. And then we'll just merge one day.
Yeah. Now we're making the Frank and Ramsey podcast.
Frank and Ramsey. Framsey?
Let's not make a...
Franksy.
Franksy's not bad.
Franksy's not bad? Really? Oh my God.
No, I'm just joking.
No, but
Shintamsey.
I think that's the one. I think we might be on something. I like that. I actually like that. It's like Hamtaro.
it's like Hamtaro. Our mascot's gonna be, so we're gonna make a podcast called Ramtaro.
Yeah.
And our mascot's gonna be a giant hamster.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like it. We'll bring a capybara. to the podcast. Yeah. Jamie, all right. But
Jamie, quick about capybara. I'm not sure a lot of people know what a capybara is.
Yeah, pull it up.
Jamie, pull it up.
Oh, thank you, Jamie. Yeah, there it is, everyone.
All right, so I think it's kind of like,
how are we doing on time? Yeah, go ahead.
We're an hour and 36 minutes in.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's not. I mean, it's a long time. But it's not 2 hours.
I don't know. Like, I guess that time went by slower than I thought. But okay. Anyways.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
yes.
Here, yeah.
So I wanted to ask you another question. This one might be long, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell a short story that has impacted you in a way that affects your everyday life and how you think and carry yourself?
Well, it's a good thing you're not asking me this for the first time.
Yeah.
I thought I cheated. I had the chance to think about this one for a bit.
I let people know this question beforehand to let them think about it because it's kind of
a little hard.
Yeah, it's a hard question to think of on your feet.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah. Well, good thing I'm sitting down.
Yeah.
Hey. Okay.
Is that the white side of you coming out?
Peter Martin. But anyways. So I do have a story. So we're actually very good friends now. But when I was in 8th grade, there was this one girl who we just hated each other. And in 8th grade, we were still in the Chinese program. And let me tell you, my Chinese was bad. It's like bad now, but back then it was bad. I'm not gonna stretch it out. It was bad, right? Now it's bad. It was just bad. But
Ni hao ma.
Oh, ha, ni hao ma. Sorry, Chinese viewers. But
I forgot to say my name is.
我的名字是
Oh yeah.
我的名字是 Ramsey.
我的名字是
Ramsey, yeah. 我的名字是上太郎. But
a disgrace of a Japanese person.
Hey, it's my Japanese name. My Japanese.
Your grandmother spits on you.
She did. No, dude, that would be so messed up, dude. What kind of grandma spits on a grandkid? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, sorry. Continue your story. About this,
Right. Yeah.
This weird girl that.
Yeah, the 8th grade girl. So one day, I forget what it was, but we were in an argument, and it was like across the classroom, so everyone could hear us. And she says, and she was pretty popular. I would say she was one of the most popular girls in the grade. Yeah. And I was not. I have not always been this George Clooney. Once I was.
Not even today.
Mark Zuckerberg. Hey.
Not even today.
I think I am. I'm joking. I'm not as much of a prick in real life. Don't say anything.
Continue.
No, but she had zeros on all my Chinese tests, and people said, ooh, and dude, that was like, it was 8th grade, so that was the entire world like crumbling around me because back then it was like the academic environment already really existed. I don't know, when I was in middle school I didn't really care about grades because I was in middle school. Back then I was just an irresponsible student, but in hindsight, like, good for me. I didn't waste my time on middle school grades. But back then, people would always compare the report cards, like with test scores, all of that, and people would be like, I want to get 100% in every class, and they would, because it was Cupertino. And that was an insane blow to someone in Cupertino, in that environment, to just be outed as stupid. To be outed as stupid. And that really stuck with me a lot. I think more than I think. And I really, I don't think it's the only reason. I think I've always been curious.
Dude, sometimes it's the small things
that
really affect
right?
you. Like, it's not even sometimes it's not even the big things in life that really get to you.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, sure, they may be hard, but sometimes you remember the smallest things,
and it sticks with you.
Yeah,
it really does. Yeah. And I also think a part of it is because people have, when I was a kid, people just kind of saw me as an idiot, because I was just kind of I was kind of just an idiot. But it really started to bother me, and I think that was when it really I was like, Jesus Christ, right? So I really do think one of the reasons why I speak, people always tell me that I use God, I really hate talking about this sort of thing because I feel like such an asshole. So I do feel like that's the appropriate word for this time. Sorry, children. But people tell me oh, you use too many big words. And I do think that when I write, ubiquitous, sure, yeah. There's an example.
That is amazing.
And I do think it comes from stuff like that. When I was a kid, people would call me an idiot, and so now I feel a part of me has to prove it. Yeah, has to prove to them I am an intellectual. Like stuff like that. And I really do value knowledge a lot.
Yeah.
I think knowing, learning stuff is the most important thing you can do to broaden your horizons, right? But I also do think a part of my identity is a direct result of the perception that people had of me as a child. Which I think that's true of everyone. I saw a tweet this morning that was everyone's life is 10 years of your childhood, and then you spend the rest of your life thinking about that.
You're right. You're not even lying.
Yeah, right. So.
No, dude. I feel a complete same. I feel a lot of what I went through when I was in my teens is just I guess, dude, I'm not the same person I was in middle school. And
Absolutely,
I'm
yeah,
and I'm
absolutely.
definitely not the same person I was in high school.
Yeah, right.
You know, you're consistently growing, and I'm not
Mm-hmm.
the same person I was like 3 years ago, like when I was
Mm-hmm.
20. You know, like
Yeah.
it's like you're
Almost 20 years old.
constantly, yeah, you're constantly going. But like I do like you. Like I have moments like that where I remember certain small things like that.
Yeah.
That kind of that shape a certain part of your character.
Exactly.
And you don't realize
And
it.
it's like in the moment, like I was really embarrassed, but the next day I was like, it was a normal day, right?
Yeah.
But like I still think about that sometimes. I still think about what like I really, man, we're opening up a little bit, but I really like do still think about like do people think I'm smart or stupid? Do people think I'm smart or stupid? That is I think the central thing for me is do I come off as smart or stupid?
Yeah.
And I want to come off as smart, as all people do, right? But I think that's part of why.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I have similar experiences too with small things like that. Like sometimes
Yeah,
I
absolutely,
wonder
yeah.
if I like I get I would say sensitive, but like I don't like when people think of me like that I'm weak. Whether it be like, and that has to do with like both physically and like
you ain't, baby.
physically or like mentally, And I feel and I don't like people thinking that I can't handle something or I can't do something. I've never really cared that there's people that are smarter than me or whatever, but I've just always hated the idea that somebody thinks I can't do something. And also another thing that I always think of is like I hope people don't realize that I am actually not that cool.
Ramsey, you're a pretty cool guy.
Whatever.
I'm serious.
But dude, like honestly, I remember when I was younger in middle and high school, I was like the opposite of cool. Like I always got made fun of. I was always the butt of everybody's joke. And you feel like you get older and you feel like you have to prove yourself against those kind of like those labels.
Absolutely, yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I feel like that has to do with like a lot of what your identity is.
Yeah,
today.
I really do. Peter again he said I'm an example of bullying gone right. Because when I was a freshman, when I came into my freshman year of high school, like, dude, I was a loser. That is the word I use. I was a huge loser. I had hair, dude. My hair used to be down to my shoulders. Can you believe that?
Yeah, like I'm sure.
Yeah.
Dude, I used to have like I used to straighten my hair and like do like this whole scene. Whole scene thing.
Damn. Oh,
like,
wow.
damn.
Yeah. Because
we all go through the ringer, man.
Yeah, exactly. Right. We all do. But like I remember there's like a distinct moment in high school where I got home from school and I was like, wow, I have friends. I have so many friends.
Yeah.
And I realized that, and I was like, it was like for the first time where I was like, damn, I have so many friends who I could just talk to and hang out with. Like I could just say like, let's go do something, which was like, and so yeah, and I feel like maybe this is true of both of us. Like, I think we're both pretty personable. I think we like to get along with people, right? I think we even actively try to get along with the people we're with. I certainly do. And I think a part of that, for me, comes from that experience as a child.
Do you think a big part of that experience is because you're mixed or because you're half? Or do you think it's just because of who you just naturally are?
That's an interesting question.
Like, for instance, like that girl, in eighth grade girl.
Yeah.
Was she Asian? Like,
yes.
You said it was like mostly Asians, like 85% Asian.
Oh,
right?
None of the people in my childhood were non-Asian.
Oh, okay.
Almost none. I don't think, like, a person. Yeah. Yeah, I really don't think I can name one person from my childhood who was non-Asian. But yeah, actually, I guess like my race, in terms of just like the assumptions that people make about certain races, did not play a part in it. Because when we were all kids, nobody thought about like you're Chinese or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I I think one of the things that did have an influence on me is my dad is white. So my dad is very much like, do whatever makes you happy, right? He's an engineer and he let me be a history major, right? He's just like, yeah, live your life, right? My mom, my grandma is actually not in college, and my aunt never went to college either. So my mom was the only one who studied. She did it like herself, but she never, instead of having this like, it's super important for you to study, because I think one of the things in the average Asian household, like the first generation Asian household, based on my friends' experiences, is usually they are first generation immigrants. They don't speak English, so they want their kids to be really good at English. They want their kids to be really good at English. They want them to be successful, right? That's why like education is so important. You have to study. That's why getting a 2250 on the SAT is a failure. You know what I mean? And obviously, in not all cases, but in a lot that I've seen. My mom went to college, is doing pretty well. She speaks English well enough. So I don't think she ever had that same struggle where she realized how much more of an advantage she would have had if she had gone to college, because she did. So she was never that strict with me or any of my siblings. So basically, like, educationally, like when I was a kid, I don't know, I remember one day my teacher called in my parents for a parent-teacher meeting because I hadn't done my math homework in like 2 months. In like 4th grade.
Okay.
And you know what they said? He said you have to make up all of it. Dude, to a 4th grader? Like, that's so messed up. Don't you think? I was like, so I remember for like 3 days, I sat outside of the classroom and I just did like 2 months of math homework. And I finished like 2 weeks. I finished like 2 weeks worth, and then he was like, okay, like this is ridiculous. Don't worry about it. I do think, yeah, like because of that, like I never had any self-discipline as a child when it came to academics. And I think that
because you grew up in a mixed household, you feel like you didn't have that sort of...
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure different mixed households are different, but my mixed household, my dad being an Iowan engineer, I don't know, both my parents I will say, they're very smart. They both have, my dad's an engineer.
Yeah.
Engineers are all way smarter than I am. And my mom, she did get a master's, even though it was in Japanese in the States, which I will never understand. But she did get a master's, right? But
I'm sure she's smart in her own right too.
Yeah, she absolutely is.
Yeah.
But like, neither of them ever really were like the tiger parents. Neither of them were the tiger parents.
Yeah.
And all my friends, they would always get these perfect scores because their parents were tiger parents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do think that probably did play a part in it. Yeah. I don't know if my deconstruction of my parents is really like 100% accurate, but that's what I've gathered.
Yeah, I mean, you can only, and trust me, I mean, as you get older, you start realizing certain things about your parents, and you're like, oh, that's why they did that, or that's why they
definitely.
And honestly, that's the whole point of this podcast, is to like kind of explore those parts of yourself that you weren't aware of.
Yeah, because actually, I never thought about that.
Yeah.
I never thought about how being a mixed person might have affected like being a bit of a goon as a kid. But
Yeah. So do you think being mixed, it affected you more internally, the way you felt about yourself, or externally, the way that people treated you in your like in your Asian American school? You're mostly Asian school.
There was always the running joke that I was the one white guy. Like always. And it never really bothered me because I am, but like at the end of the day, my friends all still saw me as Asian. Because I am Japanese, right?
Yeah.
And like it wasn't ever something that was like I was excluded, but your name is Frank McMullin. I also think, I don't know, if I went to a white school, I would probably still get like Frank McMullin is a stupid name. I think everywhere. But so I think externally it's never affected me perceptively. Like I've never, if people have treated me differently in some way, I've never seen it. Or I've never realized it maybe.
Yeah.
I think internally though, like my identity, I think about this like all the time. Not all the time.
Yeah.
But like it is something I really think about. Like, am I Japanese? Am I white? I'm definitely not. I'm definitely not. Like, if I have my one foot all the way in something, it's not white. But I don't think it's Japanese either. I think I just sit in this in between of Asian American. And actually, I have a very good friend from home, one of my best friends. Shouts out Koshi. I'm gonna keep doing it. His name's Koshi Huyn. He's Japanese Vietnamese, but he doesn't speak any Vietnamese. He doesn't know the culture because he was raised by his Japanese mom. And like it's like, how much can you identify with a group that you don't know at all?
Yeah.
I'm Japanese, but I said mostly Asian, but there are not that many Japanese people in Cupertino. It's majority Chinese Korean.
Yeah.
So, like, I didn't grow up with that much Japanese. Like, there was a couple like centers of Japanese culture, right? But like, dude, the Japantown in San Jose is a street. It is one street. That is the Japantown in San Jose. And the Japantown in SF is not much better. So I never really grew up with I don't know. Japanese culture is something I've learned growing up as after my childhood.
Yeah. No, I feel like entirely the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah. Because I feel like I growing up, I went to Algeria a bunch of times with my mom. I would go every 2 years. I'd go visit my family, and so I got pretty close, better understanding the culture and my family and the way things worked. But I have never been to Colombia. My dad has never taken me to Colombia once. And,
wow.
And I didn't meet. I met my older sister. I have three older brothers and one older sister. We're half siblings. We have the same dad, different mom, and they were born before. Yeah, my dad were married with someone else before, and they're fully Colombian. And my older sister, I lived with her for a little bit when I was like a kid, and then I didn't see her for a long time. And then my older brothers, I didn't meet them until I was in my teens.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't meet I've only had all of siblings together in one room one time in my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I love them all. They're all they're I talk to them through social media, and my older sister, she has a daughter, and so I'm close with them, but I didn't grow up with them. I didn't grow up with them in an environment in which I'm familiar with Colombia, and which I'm familiar with Spanish speaking.
Absolutely, right? Yeah. And it's like, this is who you are, but it's like, to what degree, right? Yeah.
And my last name's Gomez.
Yeah.
Immediately somebody they hear Gomez, and then if I guess maybe have less facial hair, they're like if I this, I'm Arab. Here I'm anything.
Yeah.
I'm Hispanic. And then I tell them my name is Ramsey Gomez, and they'd be like, oh, and then they think I'm Hispanic. Automatically.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I don't feel really close to my Colombian side.
Yeah. Right.
I feel like an adoration for my culture, for my Colombian culture. Like I'm sure you feel for Japanese culture.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You feel like an adoration for it.
Yeah.
And I love Colombian food, and great people, great country. Just I don't feel as tethered as I would like to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I feel the exact same way, because for me, I ate okay. I think the easiest example that jumps to my mind is my when I go to restaurants here with people, I'll order. People will be like, "Have you ever tried this?" I'll be like, "Yeah, of course. I grew up eating this." You know what I mean? Like the three examples that jump to my mind are natto, fermented beans, which are delicious. Dude,
not a fan.
They're delicious. My dad can't be in the same room.
Try them once.
Yeah, my dad can't be in the same room as them because he hates the smell. Yeah, because he's natto, tororo, which is radish. I don't know how to make it. I don't know. It's radish, and it's You pour it and it's kind of like slimy.
Okay.
But it's pretty good. And raw egg.
I like that.
Yeah, raw egg I think raw
Yeah,
egg is universally
raw
delicious.
egg,
Yeah.
egg is great.
But
not a lot of Americans would agree though.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Because in America you can get salmonella. But
Yeah.
but like, you know, that sort of stuff is like, it's a given to me, right? I think that's the Japanese side.
Yeah.
But then people will say like my grandma said like a proverb to me the other night. And I'm like, dude, what are you saying? Like, it was something like, and low key, it was super stupid. It was dongle over flowers. That's how the proverb translates.
I like that.
Yeah, I like
dongo are pretty freaking great.
Dongle is great. Dongle
Food
is
over flowers.
like,
I
absolutely.
can't eat flowers.
Yeah, right. And I thought that was the meaning. Like, I thought the meaning was like if you get like the comparison I asked her, because she had just done a recital. She was singing. She got a flower, but then she also got like a cake. She was like, well, you know, dongle over flowers, right? And I was like, oh, okay. So like, would you use it with like, if first place got like a trophy, but second place got like a gift card, would that be dongle over flowers? And she's like, no, because there are no flowers. And I was like, what? And she was like, I mean, yeah. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, yeah, like I was at a flower garden the other day, but then we sat down to have lunch, and that'd be dongle over flowers. And I was like, so like that sort of thing is like, it's a given to her. I don't understand it at all.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So I think, I don't know. I also don't feel that tethered, right?
Yeah. I mean, I feel the same. I still feel the same way. But like, I've been to Algeria a bunch of times, and I'm very close to my Algerian side of the family.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't feel super tethered.
Yeah,
to,
right.
like, being completely Algerian. Like, I still like I'm still like half Algerian. I still like you know. I mean, yeah. It's just like it's hard to feel so close to something in which you weren't raised in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But, yeah.
I don't know. It really is like, this has been such an interesting, it's a really interesting experience.
Yeah.
I'm really glad I came here, but
Can't do it too long.
I don't know. I could not come back, and I think I've realized when I was applying to colleges, my mom really wanted me to apply to so apparently Waseda has a foreigner program that my friend actually goes to now, which I think is hilarious because all he did was drink through high school, but then he came back to the interview. He's Japanese, he's native Japanese, but he came to the U.S. for school. All he did was drink through high school, and then he comes back and his English is better than the interviewers, so he automatically gets in. Just because of that, because he's a foreigner. He applies as a foreigner.
Oh.
Yeah. And from what my mom the way it was describing was like the foreigner program is not nearly as selective as Waseda University, because they want more foreigners to come. Yeah.
Dude, that's like cheating.
It is 100% cheating, Tatsuya. But
dude, that's a rig.
Yeah, but I mean, it works, and I mean, like the guy is really smart. Like he is. He's definitely. I mean, he's smart enough to be at Waseda, but like, just like, dude, you're not a like Tatsuya Tatsumi. Like, you were not.
Yeah.
You were not raised in America.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. But yeah, she wanted me to go to college here, and like, dude, I could not do it.
Yeah,
like being
I
here,
understand.
I could not. Yeah.
Okay, well, so here's a question for you, real quick. I know we only have like a little bit more time left, but
Sure.
It's just something I just thought of.
Right.
So like, when I've born and raised in Atlanta, I left Atlanta to live here in Japan for school.
Right.
I was here for 8 months, and then I went back to Atlanta for unintentionally for a whole another year.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I went back home for a year, and dude, I missed Japan. Like, I could not stop thinking about it. You know, like I was like, oh man, I miss my friends. I miss the jiu-jitsu over there. I miss the good times, and for me, Georgia, Alpharetta has always been Atlanta, Alpharetta, just all that. It had always been home for me, right?
Yeah.
And then I left, and I started living and as I was living in Tokyo, and I started to feel like, oh, I love this place. It's great, but it's not home. And I kept thinking about my family back home in Atlanta. And I went back home, and I was like, this is great.
But
I still feel like, for me,
something's
like,
off.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I think my mom, my sister will always be home. But at the same time, it was like, being there, it just didn't feel like, I felt like I wasn't
You almost felt like
I
a bit
wasn't
of
supposed to be there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so like I feel like right now my responsibility is to travel more and find out. I feel like I won't know what home is until
you're there.
Until I've lived other places. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think and who knows? Maybe I might do like a whole 180 and end up sorry, not 180, like 360 actually.
Yeah. End up back in Tokyo.
End up back.
Back in Atlanta.
So I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen, but
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to know. Basically, the question is, you probably don't know this yet, since you.
If it's gonna be about calculus, I never got to it in high school, so no.
No. You probably don't know this quite yet, but like I'm just kind of curious what your reaction is, because you're going back home to California in a few months.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, less than a month actually.
Yeah, less than a month.
1 month and 2 days.
Oh.
Yeah. 15th, baby.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of curious what your reaction is how you're gonna feel when you get back to California. Like, oh man, like, are you gonna want to come back to Tokyo? Are you gonna want to travel more? Because I feel like the travel bug bit me, and I was like, I want to travel more before I can safely say that this is where I belong.
Oh, you know? that is a question.
Because I don't know personally. I don't know where I belong. I feel.
Do you think you ever moved to Colombia or Algeria?
Algeria.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah. Do you think you would ever visit?
I love Algeria. It's a great country, beautiful mountains, sea, desert.
Right.
The people don't treat it very great.
Really?
Yeah, they don't treat it very well.
Oh wow, that's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great country in its own right, and it has so much potential to be better. But there's that, and there's also the fact that I don't know the language, so I couldn't feel.
That'll do it. Yeah.
And then same thing with Colombia. I've never been there.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah.
I guess maybe it's not a question you can answer now, but it's maybe
actually,
something
I do have a couple of things. I will actually try to keep it short because I know we're running the clock here.
Yeah.
But the thing is here, Japan has always been like a parallel home for me, even in the past, because it's really where I've I come here every single year. It is like Adachi is home for me, much more than Tokyo is. Gotcha. Every time I'm home, like on my laptop, the home screen is a picture of Kitasenju, the station. Because I miss it so much when I'm home. I really miss it so much.
Wow, I know.
All the time I'm home. Yeah, but. Oh man, it's an interesting thing because when I first got here, dude, I could not wait to be back home. I miss the hell out of all my friends. I really do.
Yeah.
But being here, especially in this last month, I don't know. I wish I was staying here for longer. And I'm really gonna miss the time that I had. And there are some things that I wish I had pursued more. You know, I don't know. Tokyo will always be. I've had 3 homes now: Cupertino, Santa Barbara, and Tokyo. I think all of them are home to me in a different way. For me, it's a lot easier to settle into a new home.
Yeah.
So all of them, for different reasons, are home to me. If that makes any sense. I'm gonna miss it, man. I really am. I'm gonna miss you, boy.
Oh,
you're gonna visit me.
Sorry, you make me
we're gonna live together in Los Angeles next summer.
Ramtaro.
Right? Ramtaro, baby, bro. You're producing the podcast. You're literally going to be producing this podcast. Oh my god, we're going to have Spotify sponsoring us.
We'll see. Spotify sponsor us.
Yeah, please. Double XL2 and George Clooney.
Dude, it's been real. Thanks for having me on the podcast. I think it's a great note to leave it at.
Wait, thank you for having me on the podcast.
Yeah. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Okay. I thought you said thank you for having you on the podcast.
I don't know. I was probably saying words.
Again, no problem.
It's 9:30 at night.
Yeah, so it was a good podcast.
Thank you for being on the podcast.
Of course, absolutely.
Really
thank you for having
me.
Yeah, it was a good time.
I guess to end the podcast off, I just want you to, kind of just shout out whatever
Oh,
yeah,
shout outs?
Yeah, now you're allowed to do it.
Okay,
Now
okay,
you're allowed to do
okay.
shout out.
Okay.
Whether like your Instagram, where they can find you if you want to shout that out.
Okay.
Your YouTube channel, Facebook, your LinkedIn. I don't know. You have 500 people on your LinkedIn, but
I don't know a lot.
Yeah.
About
Just let me know. Let the world know whatever you have going on in your life.
All right, I got 3 things to shout out. I will keep it short. 1 _ Frank McMullin for my Instagram.
Okay.
Thank you. 2, shouts out Krishu, my friend from Cupertino. He's a rapper. His stuff slaps. It really does. Find him on Spotify. Find him on Spotify. And 3, all my friends who are watching this, all 6 of you, I miss you guys. I really do, because I know none of my friends are gonna get to this point in the podcast. But I miss you guys. I really, really do. I'll be back soon, baby. Deuces.
Bet.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Hey.
Good job, dude.
Thanks for having me, dog. It was fun. Done it. That was long, man. 2 hours. Wow.